Narcissists are deeply reliant on one crucial element: attention. It serves as their lifeblood. Their entire psychological makeup revolves around an insatiable need for validation. When they lack a steady stream of what psychologists term narcissistic supply, their meticulously crafted facade starts to crumble. The supply doesn't need to be positive. They thrive on both praise and conflict. When you argue, defend yourself, or react emotionally to their provocations, you unwittingly provide them with what they crave: evidence that they still wield control over your feelings. And make no mistake, control is their ultimate goal. It's not about love or genuine connection. It's about power. When you choose to walk away, you strip them of this vital resource. You take away their ability to manipulate your reality, and in doing so, you threaten their fragile psychological balance. This isn't merely a minor setback for a narcissist. It's a profound existential crisis. Their entire identity is precarious, reliant on external validation. Without someone to mirror their image back to them, whether through admiration or conflict, they are confronted with a void they desperately try to escape, and that void is haunting. Consider what unfolds when you refuse to engage. Initially, the narcissist may intensify their efforts. They will provoke you, not out of concern, but because your reaction reassures them that they still have power over you. If you respond with anger or hurt, they emerge victorious. It comforts them that they still hold significance. If you turn your back and walk away, severing all ties, you rob them of their power. You become an enigma, a riddle that a narcissist cannot solve. And nothing gnaws at their insides more than the realization that they can no longer reach into your mind. This psychological dance is a dark one, revealing the twisted depths of their insecurity. The bravado, the manipulation, the arrogance, they are mere facades, hiding a chasm of inadequacy. Instead of facing their own demons, they project their darkness onto you, making you feel insignificant so they can feel inflated. They unsettle your world to reclaim a sense of control. This is no mere accident. It is a sinister strategy that thrives as long as you remain entangled in their web. Walking away is the only act that shatters their ability to use you as a reflection of their distorted self-image. But why does your departure wound them so deeply? It strikes at the very heart of their self-deception. Narcissists inhabit a realm where they must always reign supreme. Your exit dismantles that illusion, revealing their fragility. It whispers to them that they are not the titans they pretend to be, and nothing terrifies them more than the thought of losing their grip on you. This loss of control is a harrowing blow, for without an external source of validation, they are forced to confront the very truth they have evaded their entire lives: the haunting reality of who they truly are. The reality is this: without others to dominate, the narcissist is essentially nothing. Their identity is borrowed. Their self-perception is not rooted in authenticity, but rather in their ability to manipulate those around them. When you remove yourself from that dynamic, they are compelled to face the emptiness within. This is why walking away holds far more power than any verbal confrontation. No amount of arguing or revealing their behavior will impact them as profoundly as your silence does. When you cease to engage in their game, the game concludes, and without it, they lose their sense of identity. Many fail to realize that narcissists are not merely controlling. They are addicted to control. Like any addict, they will go to great lengths to secure their next fix. If you remain, if you continue to respond, you become a source of that addiction. However, when you cut them off, you force them into withdrawal, which is a painful process. This is why narcissists frequently return, why they hoover, and why they attempt to draw you back into the cycle with promises of change or through manipulative guilty tenant. They are not returning out of love. They are returning because they need you to maintain their illusion. Your absence exposes a truth they cannot bear: that they are not all-powerful. It shatters the fantasy they have built about themselves, leading to a significant internal You may perceive leaving quietly as a sign of weakness or passivity, but in truth, it is one of the most potent actions you can take. It strikes at the very core of their identity, where they are most vulnerable. There's also a deeper element involved: your freedom. By choosing to walk away, you not only reclaim your emotional independence, but also establish a boundary that communicates, I will no longer be a part of my own suffering. This act of self-liberation is a profound rejection of their control, and as you begin to thrive outside their grasp, it only deepens their sense of defeat. For a narcissist, nothing is more painful than witnessing your growth in a space where they can no longer reach your heart and mind. Ultimately, The most significant form of revenge isn't in your words. It lies in what you choose not to give. By stepping away, you deny the narcissist the one thing they desperately need: your attention. In that moment, you grant yourself the most precious gift of all: freedom. Freedom from their manipulations, their deceit, and the relentless erosion of your self-worth. When you walk away, you emerge victorious, while they are left to grapple with their loss. One of the harshest realities about narcissists is that their power over you is fundamentally an illusion, a fragile facade that exists only as long as you engage with it. The sadness lingers, knowing that true liberation often comes at the cost of leaving behind what once felt like home. What empowers a narcissist is not their intellect, charm, or skill in manipulation. Rather, it is your often unconscious willingness to engage with their distorted reality. Once you pierce through that veil, once you become aware of the tactics they employ to control you, the entire illusion starts to fall apart. At the core of narcissistic manipulation is a deep-seated need for dominance over your perceptions, your feelings, and ultimately your very sense of self. Narcissists cannot simply share space with others. They must reign over the emotional terrain. They seek to dictate how you perceive yourself, as this bolsters their fragile self-esteem. If they can instill doubt about your own value, if they can ensnare you in a relentless quest for their approval, they retain their power. The most insidious method they employ is through a twisted version of reality. Consider their tactics. Narcissists excel in subtlety. They seldom exert blatant control at first. Instead, they manipulate your understanding of reality. They gaslight you, leading you to question your own perceptions and memories. They oscillate between warmth and cruelty, fostering a psychological dependency that leaves you yearning for their validation. It's a heartbreaking cycle, one that can leave you feeling lost and diminished. This relentless push-pull dynamic keeps you in a state of emotional turmoil, and as long as you remain ensnared in uncertainty, they wield their power over you. But here lies the chilling truth: their dominion hinges entirely on your complicity. They cannot twist your mind without your involvement. They cannot bind you if you refuse to engage in their sinister game. This is why your departure strikes terror in their hearts. When you pull away, when you withdraw your gaze, you do more than establish a boundary. You shatter the very illusion of their power. It's crucial to understand that a narcissist's control is a mere facade. It's a dark performance crafted to convince you of their superiority, their brilliance, and their significance. Yet, beneath the surface of their grandiosity lies a deep-seated insecurity, and like any theatrical act, it crumbles without an audience. The instant you step out of the role they've forced upon you, the entire charade collapses. Walking away delivers a haunting message: I reject your twisted reality, and that is a truth the narcissist cannot bear. Why? Because without someone to dominate, without a mirror to reflect their desired image, they are left to confront the abyss of their own existence, a confrontation that is utterly unbearable. For all their bluster, narcissists are profoundly fragile. Their entire identity is a fragile construct, built on evading the grim truth of who they really are. If they are unable to gain validation from others or manipulate someone into affirming their sense of superiority, they are left to confront their own inadequacies, which is their greatest fear. When you choose to walk away, you also dismantle the illusion that you are reliant on them. Narcissists thrive on the notion that you need them, believing that without their approval, you cannot thrive. However, the reality is that they are the ones who depend on you. You are the source of their strength, not the other way around. Once you come to this realization, everything shifts. The chains of dependency fall away, the fear fades, and you recognize that their power was never genuine. It was borrowed from your emotional investment. Moreover, walking away not only liberates you but also reveals their true nature. Narcissists invest significant effort into crafting a public persona, wanting to be perceived as successful, charming, and in control. However, when someone departs, particularly someone who was once influenced by them, it jeopardizes that carefully constructed image. It implies to the outside world that their perfection is merely a facade. And since their identity is so closely linked to external validation, this revelation is a deep wound. Reflect on the lengths they go to in order to maintain their appearances. Narcissists are often adept at showcasing a polished surface, but beneath that facade lies a fragmented and insecure self. When you choose to walk away, you create a tear in the carefully constructed facade. You expose the painful truth. They are so eager to conceal that they are not as powerful, not as vital, and not as invulnerable as they would like to believe. Yet, Perhaps the most significant outcome of stepping away is the strength it restores to you. In narcissistic relationships, your sense of self is slowly drained away. Over time, you find yourself entangled in their chaos, their demands, and their ever-changing expectations. You lose sight of who you truly are as you constantly navigate their emotional needs. Walking away becomes an act of reclaiming your life. It is a poignant declaration that you will no longer forfeit your dignity, your peace, or your identity to uphold someone else's fragile illusion. The heartbreaking beauty of this realization is that once you see it, once you grasp that their power is merely a mirage, you cannot unsee it. You become resistant to their manipulation. You no longer feel compelled to explain yourself, justify your boundaries, or seek their validation. You come to understand, deeply and irrevocably, that your worth is not dictated by their perception of you. So, what unfolds when you walk away? You regain control, but it comes with the bittersweet knowledge of what you've lost along the way. You reveal the deception, and most importantly, you free yourself from the cycle of manipulation and control. The narcissist is at a loss because their power cannot endure without you, while you emerge victorious by reclaiming what has always belonged to you, your freedom. Ultimately, the most significant truth is this: their power was never genuine. It only existed as long as you permitted it. The instant you choose to walk away, you remind both them and yourself that you were never genuinely under their influence. One of the most significant impacts of leaving a narcissist is how it disrupts their psychological balance. By nature, narcissists are deeply reliant on controlling others to sustain their fragile self-image. They depend on a dynamic known as narcissistic supply, which is a constant influx of attention, admiration, and emotional energy from those around them. When this supply is cut off, their carefully crafted identity starts to crumble, and nothing severs that supply more effectively than your choice to walk away. To grasp why this is so destabilizing for the narcissist, we must delve into the essence of their psychological makeup. At the core of narcissism lies a deep emptiness, a void that the narcissist attempts to fill throughout their life. This emptiness arises from a fractured sense of identity, often rooted in early emotional trauma. Rather than developing a stable internal sense of worth, the narcissist learns to derive their value from external sources, particularly from the individuals they manipulate and control. Their entire existence hinges on the desperate need for external validation, and when you extricate yourself from that toxic dynamic, it ignites a profound crisis within them. Walking away is a potent act, as it robs the narcissist of one of their most cherished resources. Your attention and emotional investment have, until now, acted as a dark mirror, reflecting the distorted image they desperately wish to project. Narcissists do not engage in healthy, reciprocal relationships. They fail to recognize you as a separate being with your own thoughts and feelings. Instead, you become a mere extension of their fragile ego, a tool to prop up their crumbling facade. When you turn your back, you shatter that reflection. You strip them of the means to validate their warped sense of superiority. It is vital to grasp that narcissists are emotionally bankrupt. They lack the inner strength to nurture their own self-worth. For most, a healthy self-image is rooted in intrinsic values like integrity, kindness, and purpose. But for the narcissist, that foundation is a gaping void. Without the crutch of external validation, they plunge into a psychological abyss. When you walk away, you are not merely exiting a relationship. You are dismantling the emotional scaffolding they cling to in order to sustain their illusion of power and control. This is why your departure is so devastating. It forces the narcissist to confront the haunting truth they strive to evade, that they are fundamentally hollow, a shell of a person. This is a reality they find unbearable. As long as you stay involved and respond to their manipulations, they can sustain the illusion of being in control. However, the instant you cease participating in their game, that illusion shatters. They are left to confront themselves, without the diversion of controlling you to escape their own inner turmoil. But the disruption extends beyond that. When you choose to walk away, you also dismantle their capacity to shape the narrative. Narcissists are fixated on preserving a particular image, not just in your perception but also in how others view them. They meticulously manage their public persona, often presenting themselves as charming, capable, and superior. Your departure undermines this carefully constructed facade. It prompts questions: if they were as powerful and in command as they assert, why did you leave? If they were truly irreplaceable, how are you flourishing without them? Your absence becomes a clear contradiction to the narrative they tell themselves and the world around them. More crucially, By walking away, you disrupt the psychological cycle that keeps you ensnared. Narcissistic relationships function like a psychological loop, swinging between idealization and devaluation. Initially, they inundate you with affection and admiration, making you feel valued and acknowledged. Yet, over time, this idealization shifts to disdain. They erode your self-esteem, leading you to doubt your worth. This cycle is crafted to keep you dependent, yearning for their validation while simultaneously feeling unworthy of it. Walking away interrupts this cycle. It signifies that you can no longer accept the role they have imposed upon you. You take back your agency, and in doing so, you inflict a wound on the narcissist that is difficult for them to heal. Their need for control goes beyond merely dominating you. It stems from a deep-seated fear of facing themselves. When you choose to walk away, you leave them to confront the very thing they dread the most, their own inadequacy. Lacking the means to process this painful truth, their world begins to crumble. They may react with anger, try to pull you back into their grasp, or seek out new sources of validation. Yet, the reality remains your departure shatters the illusion they have worked tirelessly to uphold. This is why leaving is not merely about ending a toxic relationship. It is a poignant affirmation of your own worth. It declares that you refuse to be shaped by someone else's distorted perceptions. In doing so, you free yourself from a dynamic that was never rooted in love or connection. It was solely about power and control. The sorrow in this realization is that once you recognize the narcissist's power for what it truly is, an illusion, you can never be ensnared again. You come to understand that their ability to manipulate you was never a testament to their strength. It was always about your willingness to engage. The weight of this truth lingers, a bittersweet reminder of the struggle for your own identity amidst their chaos. You realize that their ability to manipulate you is not rooted in their strength, but rather in your willingness to engage. The instant you decide to walk away, that power dissipates. Ultimately, the most effective way to get back at a narcissist is not through anger or revenge. It is through your indifference. This quiet, undeniable reality reveals that their control was merely an illusion. By walking away, you compel them to confront a truth they cannot avoid without your attention and involvement. Their power is meaningless. Leaving a narcissist is not just a physical departure. It is a declaration of your psychological freedom. It marks the moment you reclaim the power they have tried so hard to diminish. This act of self-liberation deeply unsettles the narcissist, because their control hinges on keeping you psychologically ensnared. When you walk away, you disrupt this dynamic at its very core. You dismantle the psychological hooks they have embedded in you, thereby shattering the foundation of their influence. The narcissist's control is not upheld through overt force. It is much more subtle. It functions through a complex network of psychological manipulation aimed at making you doubt your own reality. One of their main tactics is known as gaslighting. By twisting the truth and causing you to question your perceptions, they instill confusion and self-doubt. Over time, this diminishes your ability to trust yourself, which is the ultimate goal: to disconnect you from your own intuition and judgment. If you can't trust yourself, you become reliant on their interpretation of reality. However, the crucial point is that this manipulation only succeeds if you remain involved. It is effective only when you participate in the psychological game they are orchestrating. The instant you disengage, you disrupt the feedback loop. You exit the framework they have created and reclaim the authority to define your own reality. This is why walking away is such a significant act of defiance. It signifies a refusal to let someone else determine who you are or what is true. There is a particular cruelty in the way narcissists function. They don't merely seek your compliance. They aim to take over your identity. They strive to shape your thoughts, emotions, and even your sense of self to fulfill their own needs. Often, they are exceptionally adept at pinpointing your vulnerabilities. They know exactly where to hit. Whether it's your fear of abandonment, your longing for love, or your sense of obligation, they exploit these weaknesses not out of concern, but because it grants them power. As long as you stay within their sphere, that power remains unchallenged. Thus, walking away is not just about creating physical distance. It is a statement that your mind belongs to you. It is a defiance against their twisted perceptions that shapes your reality, and this defiance sends shivers down the spine of the narcissist. For without your complicity, their web of manipulation begins to unravel. They cannot thrive in isolation. Their very essence is parasitic, reliant on a host. When you extricate yourself from their grasp, They are left to confront the abyss of their own desolation. Consider the dark energy the narcissist pours into controlling your emotional realm. They orchestrate crises, incite emotional upheavals, and sow chaos, not by chance, but with sinister intent. This turmoil serves a chilling purpose. It keeps you disoriented and off-kilter. When you are ensnared in a cycle of reaction, clarity slips away. You cease to ponder whether this relationship is toxic or if you deserve something far better. Instead, you find yourself merely striving to evade the next emotional trap, precisely where they want you lost and exposed. Yet, here lies your hidden strength. You are not bound to remain within that storm of chaos. You are not compelled to engage in every skirmish they instigate. The most potent response to their manipulation is not to fight fire with fire. It is to withdraw entirely. It is the quiet, resolute choice to step away from the game, a decision that leaves the narcissist bewildered and powerless. In their twisted realm, power reigns supreme. They cannot fathom the idea of someone prioritizing their own peace over the relentless struggle for control. When you choose to walk away, you shatter the carefully constructed narrative that the narcissist clings to. They thrive on the delusion that they are the very axis of your existence, that your life would crumble without their presence. This false belief nourishes their ego and bolsters their facade of superiority. But when you leave, not only surviving but flourishing, you dismantle that fragile illusion. You reveal, without uttering a single word, that their power was never genuine. It was merely a shadow cast by your willingness to engage. And once you withdraw that engagement, their entire house of cards comes crashing down. It's crucial to acknowledge that this act is far from simple. Walking away from a narcissist demands an extraordinary courage, a confrontation with the part of you that still craves their validation. It requires you to resist the insidious urge to explain yourself, to seek closure, or to win their understanding, things you will never receive from a narcissist. For they are driven not by truth, but by an insatiable thirst for control. True liberation lies in the realization that you do not need their permission to reclaim your life. A profound psychological transformation occurs when you sever ties. You begin to see their manipulation for what it truly is, not a reflection of your shortcomings, but a stark testament to their own emptiness. You come to understand that their cruelty was never about you. It was always a projection of their unresolved wounds, a dark echo of their own despair. In this realization, you acquire something they will never have: true autonomy. You become the creator of your own narrative instead of merely a character in theirs, and that is the ultimate form of revenge. Not through anger or retaliation, but through freedom. The freedom to lead a life that is no longer shaped by their distortions. The freedom to trust your own perceptions, and the freedom to recognize that their power was always an illusion, one that shattered the moment you decided to walk away. When you distance yourself from a narcissist, you not only reclaim your personal freedom, you also dismantle their ability to control the narrative. Narcissists thrive on the stories they create, not just for you, but for themselves and everyone around them. These narratives are meticulously designed to uphold the illusion that they are in control, that they are superior, and that you somehow rely on their approval or presence. However, the instant you choose to disengage from their manipulation, you disrupt this carefully constructed facade. You convey a clear message that their version of reality no longer has power over you, and nothing disturbs a narcissist more than losing control of the narrative. At the heart of a narcissist's behavior lies a deep-seated fear, and an overwhelming sense of inadequacy that they strive to hide at all costs. To uphold the facade of their superiority, they create a narrative in which they are perpetually the victim or the hero, never the antagonist. If you take a moment to reflect on your interactions with them, you will likely notice this pattern. Every conflict is manipulated so that they emerge as the wrong party. Every error is excused by shifting blame onto others, and their identity hinges on maintaining these falsehoods. This goes beyond mere pride. It serves as a survival tactic. Without these narratives, they must face a reality they cannot endure, that their self-image is constructed on a web of deceit. This is why your departure hits them so hard. By leaving, you reject the role they have assigned to you in their narrative. You stop being the scapegoat, the enabler, or the target of their control. Instead, you become something far more threatening: autonomous. In your autonomy, you expose the flaws in their meticulously built world. Narcissists cannot handle this because their self-concept is too delicate to cope with the truth. Losing control over you is not merely a nuisance, It poses an existential threat to their identity. The impact of your departure is amplified by the silence that follows. Narcissists thrive on emotional responses. They provoke reactions, incite outbursts, and take pleasure in the turmoil they generate. This turmoil serves a dual purpose. It distracts you while reassuring them that they still wield power over your feelings. When you respond, even in anger, you inadvertently affirm their control. However, when you choose to walk away quietly and refuse to engage, you strip them of the emotional sustenance they crave. You become a mystery, something they cannot manipulate, provoke, or dominate. This realization sends them spiraling into a psychological abyss. In your absence, the narcissist is left alone with their own hollowness. Without someone to project their fears onto, they are compelled, if only for a moment, to face their own reflection. Lacking the emotional capacity for true self-examination, this leads to a deep-seated turmoil within them. They desperately attempt to rewrite the narrative, portraying themselves as the victim and you as the villain who deserted them. Yet, here lies the painful truth. Without your involvement, those tales lose their potency. They can fabricate whatever falsehoods they wish, but if you have stepped away from the game, those lies become empty echoes. The heartbreaking beauty of leaving is that it allows reality to emerge. Narcissists labor endlessly to shroud the truth in illusions, yet reality has a way of breaking through the facade. Over time, those around them begin to notice the inconsistencies, the manipulation, and the patterns of dysfunction. Without you there to shoulder the blame or deflect the repercussions, the truth becomes increasingly difficult for them to hide. This is why your silence can be so impactful. It compels the narcissist to confront a reality they cannot completely dominate. Additionally, your decision to walk away is a powerful demonstration of self-respect. It indicates that you refuse to engage in a relationship founded on lies and manipulation, allowing you to reclaim the authority to shape your own narrative. You are no longer a mere pawn in someone else's game. You become the creator of your own story, a power that no narcissist can strip away from you. However, this does not imply that leaving is simple. Narcissists excel at pulling you back in. They will employ every tactic available: guilt, sympathy, anger, to regain their control. Yet, if you stand firm and choose not to engage, something extraordinary occurs. Their hold over your mind starts to weaken. You begin to recognize their actions for what they truly are: a desperate effort to conceal their own insecurities. In that newfound clarity, you discover freedom. The most significant truth is this: when you walk away and refuse to return, you expose a reality that narcissists cannot evade. You never needed them. This realization strikes a severe blow to their ego, as their entire sense of power relies on the belief that you are incomplete without them. When you leave and flourish, you shatter that illusion. You demonstrate, not through words but through your actions, that their influence was never as potent as they thought. Ultimately, the most effective form of revenge is not anger or retaliation. It is indifference. It is the quiet, steadfast choice to lead a life unshackled by their control. And when you do, you reclaim something they never had the ability to destroy: your sense of self. Walking away is not merely an act of liberation. It is a testament to your strength, and no narcissist can ever take that away from you.